Oh, baby. Baby, baby. You can see my hair, dude. It's crazy right now. Let me send a tweet. Woo! Okay, there's going to be a lot to break down on this. Oh, why do I have positives up? I want that one. Oh, my heavens to Betsy. Let's freaking go. Oh, baby. Let me check. All righty. Let's let some people file in here. Okay. I'm a little too excited for that, but we have a lot to talk about, and my hair's a disaster, but who cares? Like, it's 11 o'clock. I've been up since 7:45, so hop on in. Hop on in, people. Whew. All righty, let's take care of business. The Missouri Tigers win the football game on the Plains, 23-17 over the Auburn Tigers. Ugly football game. We're going to break it all down here at the voice of college football, Missouri Tigers. I'm Zach Ramelius. I'm here every week, guys, to talk about your Missouri Tigers, your 6-1, 2-1 in the SEC Missouri Tigers. The season is not over like I thought it might be for a little bit. We're going to break this down. We're going to talk about the positives, the negatives, what this win means for Mizzou going forward, and what I was prepared to talk about a loss there for a little bit and kind of what that means, but we're not here to talk about that loss. We're here to talk about a damn W, boys and girls. Like, celebrate the wins, man. Like, these are games Mizzou doesn't always win. So celebrate them while you get a chance. Mizzou 23, Auburn 17. We beat Jackson Arnold again. There's just so much to get to. Let's start off with the positives. Look, man, you're going to look at Bo Perbula's stat line and see 23 of 40 for 252 and 2 picks. And you're going to go, he didn't play that great. I thought he was incredibly gutsy tonight. He had one throw to Josh Manning. He missed on a slant. He had pressure right in his face. Like, look, it's a tough throw. I won't deny that. And it was on like a 3rd and 10. It's a 3rd and 10, and he just missed it, and that happens. But I thought the rest of the game, considering how awful this O-line played, and we'll talk about that. Trust me, there are a lot of negatives that came from this game. But I don't want to come in here after, this isn't a win, like a 2-point win over Louisiana or something. Like, you went in and you beat Auburn. An Auburn team, that's not a good football team, but it's not a great football team, but that's a good roster. They competed at OU. They competed at Texas A&M. They should have beaten Georgia. And you went in, and they should have beaten you. Like, let's be quite frank. Auburn fans can certainly have that. Damn. Let's see. We got a comment. My computer. Gritty win. Damn gritty win. Good win for the Tigers. There's a lot of positives to come from this game. Individually, I thought Marquise Gracial, that's the best game he's played as a Missouri Tiger. He saved the damn game. Mizzou's down 14-10. Auburn has 3rd and goal at the 1. They hand it to Jeremiah Cobb, who was excellent tonight. Maybe the most underrated running back in the SEC. All he does is, tonight, Jeremiah Cobb, 19 carries for 111 yards. He was excellent for Auburn tonight. And that's a good roster. I'm going to keep reiterating that. That's a really good roster Hugh Freeze has built. They have a mediocre quarterback, and Hugh Freeze just sucks. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Marquise Gracial goes in and makes a damn play and forces Auburn to kick a field goal. It's 17-10. Josh Manning, a guy I was calling to be benched for Olubade. And yes, Olubade needs more snaps. We'll talk about him in just a second. But I thought Josh Manning was excellent tonight. 5 catches, 63 yards, a long of 20. When Mizzou needed a play, he was there. I thought the entire receiving corps, for the most part, was pretty good tonight. Didn't see a lot from Norfleet. This was the best game Josh Manning's. This is the game I kept thinking Josh Manning could have. And yes, it wasn't an 100-yard game. He didn't score 2 touchdowns. But this is the kind of game I thought he could consistently be. Clutch on 3rd down, physical receiver, catch a slant and go 5 or 3 yards after contact. Good game by him. Donovan Olubade, look, God bless Kevin Coleman. Kevin Coleman's a really good wide receiver. Olubade is the best pure receiver on this team. He has the best hands. He may not be the best route runner, but he has the best hands. As he continues to evolve, he's going to be an outstanding football player at Mizzou. He was great tonight. 5 catches, 69 yards, long of 27. I thought Kevin Coleman was clutch a number of times. 4 catches for 61 yards for Coleman. Marquise, not a great game for Marquise Johnson. He had the one really weird play where like he caught a slant and went across the field, and he was like a first down, and they went behind the first down, and it freaked me out a little bit. But he did end up getting the first, and that was a big play. Other than that, and that's why we're starting off with positives. Look, there's going to be a lot of negatives to get into here. Like, there's a lot of things we can talk about, and you can listen to me here as we watch Mike Norvell potentially lose his job at Florida State. And again, I'm coming off an emotional high. Like, this game ended 10 minutes ago. Like, it's 11 o'clock. You know, I got an emotional high going on right now. We'll have more analysis Monday at Missouri Tigers Live, 7 o'clock. But there'll be negatives to talk about. But I didn't want to come on here and be negative, man. Like, that's a win. That's a win Mizzou does not get on the road. I don't care how badly Auburn screwed that game up. Like, and we'll talk about that. Auburn fans should be pissed that they lost that game. They deserve to win that football game. They made a lot of mistakes, missing 3 field goals, 30 yards, free yards on one play. They got a gift of Mizzou missing a field goal in overtime, and we'll get to all that. But I thought the Missouri receiving core was good tonight. Another positive, Dre Norwood has been excellent the last 2 weeks. He was great again tonight. Auburn has 2 awesome receivers in Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton. Cam Coleman went 6 for 108 with a long of 46. That was mostly on safeties and pride. I rarely saw Norwood being the one that got torched. I thought he was really good tonight. Zion Young talked all that crap at the coin toss in overtime and backs it the hell up. 2 tackles for a loss, including a sack. He had 2 sacks tonight, 2.5 tackles for a loss. When this offseason started, or when the season was like getting ready to go, and I looked at this Missouri roster and after the portal, I really did think we were going to see a lot of Damon Wilson's, Darius Smith, and like Langdon Kitchen and other guys, maybe even Anderson, over Zion Young. I didn't think Zion Young was a good pass rusher. I thought he was a very good run defender. He's been great this year. He's playing himself into like a second-day draft pick, and Wilson might be playing himself into a first-round draft pick. He had the sack to end the game against Jackson Arnold. He was great tonight. I thought Tristan Newsome actually had a pretty good game tonight. You know, I don't think a lot of these underneath stuff, like we saw a lot of underneath catches for Perry Thompson tonight for the Auburn Tigers. I don't think a lot of that falls on the linebackers. I think that's just a scheme thing, and I think they did a really nice job of tackling. I think the Auburn run game certainly was able to move the football. Jeremiah Cobb probably didn't get the ball enough. I mean, 19 carries for 111 yards. And Jackson Arnold carrying the ball 17 times for 14 yards, and I know a handful of that was snacks. Sorry, again, I went live right away. I'm getting all these stats off my phone. Mizzou had a ton of sacks. There are 5 sacks tonight. But no, I thought as much crap as I give Corey Batoon, man, like this defense played really well. And when it needed a stop, it got a damn stop. And that's important. I like to crap on Jordan Hare because everyone always likes to talk about, oh man, Jordan Hare, like the mystique of Jordan Hare. Look how many times they played Georgia close and Auburn close. And that's great. But they also then lose those football games. And then they also lose home games to like Cal and New Mexico State. Look, I know it was Diego Pavia, New Mexico State, but Sam Pittman, Arkansas went in there and won. Like, it's just not. It just doesn't hold that mystique it did under like Malzahn, but since COVID. But you haven't played a road game all year. You haven't played a road game with this group: Kevin Coleman, Bo. Most of your offensive line, Ahmad Hardy, You haven't played a road game with this group, and you went in there in an 88,000 person stadium that was on fire and against a desperate football team. And you got the win, man. Like, look, it's a tougher game matchup wise next week against Vanderbilt. And God bless that stadium. It is not going to be what you saw tonight against the Auburn Tigers. It just won't be. It's just not as big of a stadium. It's not built the same. The team's a lot better, and we'll talk about that more probably Monday. Tonight we're just focused on tonight. But that's a huge W, man. Like, it keeps your season alive. I thought they were going to lose for a little bit there. You know, I'm pretty neutral. I'll say a lot of negative things. That's just me, like, rattling off stuff. I'll be positive when there's a lot of, like, Marquise Gracie. But when I thought they were going to lose, when Auburn had, second goal at the 2 or whatever to go up 2 scores, I was sitting there like, man, like, this is why this program won't get taken seriously. Like, you cannot lose games like this, especially games that are being given to you by Auburn. And you came back and you won the damn thing. Like, that's really commendable. We'll get into the negatives, and there are some, believe me, but you came into this game as a 1.5-point favorite, and you got a W. You got the W. You're 6-1 now. Everything is still on the table. Here's the thing, man. The Mississippi State game is losable. The Arkansas game is losable. Arkansas can score points. Bobby Petrino can still dial it up, and that sucks. But those are 2 games you should still expect to win. You win those 2 games, you need to win 2 or 3 at A&M, at Oklahoma, Vandy. I wouldn't project them to win any of those games right now, but things happen. We'll talk about more, like, kind of what you can take away from this. But if you lost this game, you were staring at like 7-5, 7-5 really in the face. Because if you lost this game, you probably weren't going to beat Vandy. You're probably not beating A&M. You're probably not beating OU. And that's if you win the 2 games that I think you probably should still win. And those would certainly look a lot more losable if you'd lost this game. I don't care how ugly it looked. You won the damn thing. And winning's hard, especially on the road. This was the toughest environment you're going to play in all year. Not because, like, magical Jordan Hare, but nighttime at Jordan Hare is going to be tougher than 11 a.m. in Norman. It just is. It's going to be tougher than next week in Nashville. That atmosphere is going to be really damn good for Vanderbilt. But it's not going to be this. It's going to be a lot better than Arkansas at the end of another bowl-less season. Great teams win, good teams cover, or good teams win, great teams cover. They did cover. Once you get to overtime, like, how do you not cover a 1.5 point? But, but where was I? This was the toughest atmosphere you were going to face all year, with a night game on the road against that team and that desperate team. And that's, like I've said, I want to keep reiterating this because I know Auburn's 3-4. They're 0-4 in SEC play. They lost to a damn good Oklahoma team by 1 score in a game they ate 10 sacks. They lost by 1 score to Texas A&M, who's really freaking good, if you hadn't noticed. And they lost by 1 score to Georgia in a game they should have won. They should have won that football game. And they lost because this is what Hugh Freeze teams do. This is why it would have been super embarrassing to lose this game. Just super embarrassing. Hugh Freeze teams give football games away. Let's count it. They missed 3 field goals. They gave you, on the game-tying touchdown, you got a free 30 yards in penalties. Jackson Arnold threw an atrocious pick. They give games away. And they gave another one away tonight. Like, if you're an Auburn fan, you have to be really disappointed. But look, what did those good teams do? Auburn fans can say they should have beaten Georgia, but they gave it away. But what does Georgia do? They're a good football team. When Auburn wants to give you a game, you take the dang game. Texas A&M, not play a great game against Auburn, but they took the dang game because Auburn gave it to them. Good football teams take the game and you took it from them in their building. That's a game Mizzou has really struggled with. And yet, exactly, and a play after Cam Coleman cooked Toriano Pride, which Toriano Pride, not a great night for him. So on the one play where it was like 3rd and 10 or whatever, like towards the end of the game, and they got beat deep, I don't think that was on Pride. I think I said something on Twitter, like or in a group chat about Toriano Pride. He was kind of caught in between. Well, if he had bailed, the underneath guy would have gotten the first down. If he had gone back, or if he had bailed back, the underneath guy would have gotten the first. So I think he thought he had safety help. I believe it was Santana Banner, who did not have a great night. None of the safeties did. Did Canelan even play? But he made a pick, and hey, good for him. But like good football teams, when on the road in tough environments, when teams want to give you a football game, good teams take them. And Mizzou is a good football team. Now, you go to Nashville next week. We'll talk about that game Monday, but you're going to have to clean some things up. But I want to keep reiterating, because people will talk about, like, well, you barely beat Auburn. How are you going to do it against Vandy? Auburn has a really good roster. They're held back by mainly two things. Jackson Arnold is just not good. He's just not – like, Auburn's defense is fantastic. Jackson Arnold and DJ Durkin, for as scummy as he is as a human being, allegedly, he's just not – he's an excellent defensive coordinator. Jackson Arnold and Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze beat Alabama twice a decade ago and is still getting massive money and has mostly been awful since then. Like Jamie Chad – like Liberty – oh, they had a great year at Liberty. Jamie Chadwell took him to a New Year's Six. Nice play by Castellanos. Is he hurt? Touchdown. But that front seven was beastly tonight. Really limited the Mizzou run game. And that's a good roster. Up and down. They have two excellent receivers. Their offensive line, all five, if you look at any mock draft, like full 7-round mock draft, all five of their offensive linemen are going to get picked. They're all pretty dang good, and your D-line was able to eat a lot. Like Damon Wilson and Zion Young and Chris McClellan. And again, I thought Marquise Gracie had a great night. I thought Sterling Webb popped a couple times. I think Mizzou has a really good defensive line. I think Vanderbilt has a really good offensive line. There's opportunity next week to win a football game, but we'll talk more about it. And I don't think Vanderbilt's defense is as good as Auburn's defense. And you won't be playing in this crazy environment. And that environment definitely impacted Bo and this offense. It did. I want to talk about the O-line. Now we're going to get into a little bit of negatives. With the context of, look, that's a huge win. We talked a lot last week about how I think the coordinators cost you the game against Alabama. I didn't think Kirby had a great night, and I don't think Batoon had a good night. Against Alabama. I thought both were very good tonight. Kirby, look, the offense wasn't explosives. Yeah, Bo was great. Bo, I said at the beginning of the show, Bo, look, the stat line's not going to look great. That second pick, I hate the term arm punt, but it's essentially what it was. You weren't going to kick a 57-yarder. The sack was awful. But you weren't going to kick a 57-yarder, and best case scenario, you were looking either three outcomes are going to happen, or four. Incomplete pass, Marquise catches it, pass interference, or it's picked. It got picked. Like Auburn wasn't going to score in 18 seconds, you'd think. But we spent all off. I thought the coordinators were fine tonight. It's hard if you're a coordinator to have an offense when your offensive line is getting cooked. Ahmad Hardy is the best running back in the country, and he did a great job of breaking tackles tonight, and he still was 24 for 58. Bo, 16 for 28. Like, he wasn't very – and he was really tentative running the ball sometimes. He kind of went fetal position on some throws. Jamal Roberts, 3 for 6. A little shocked he didn't get a few more carries, but it is what it is. What I liked what Mizzou did tonight is they didn't abandon the run game like they did last week, where it seemed like they kind of just bailed on it. Next week, that run game is going to have to be better. But with this offensive line, we talked all offseason you have to, your offensive line, you cannot, I don't know. Richardson was really bad in that UMass game, like really bad. We'll see. So the thing, we've talked about it all offseason. It was a point I kept reiterating. And Mizzou's doing a really nice job cleaning up with coaches that have been fired. Their recruits, bringing them back into Missouri. Offensive line, a lot of people want to keep talking about the portal. The portal. Oh, like if you miss in recruiting, that's fine. You can just rebuild on the portal. You can intact on the portal. And that's true at some positions. Offensive line is not one of them. It just isn't. Caden Green's a really good player. That's a special circumstance. More often than not, you're going to bring guys in that stunk or are moving up, and you don't know if they're going to be able to be productive at this level. Keegan Trost has been pretty solid. Both guards have been pretty mediocre. Piegler's a Mizzou guy. And Tollison hasn't been great this year in Rum a lot of times. Mizzou's had some good success stories on offensive line. Javon Foster, Membu. I think Tollison is a success story. He's been pretty good, snapping issues aside in 23. But offensive line, you have to recruit, retain, develop. And Mizzou hasn't done a good enough job at that since Eli's gotten here. They haven't done a good enough job recruiting and developing quarterback. They put a lot of eggs in the Sam Horn basket, and it just didn't work out. And that happens. But in the offseason, we know they missed on Miller Moss. I'm mostly okay with that. I think Miller Moss is like a better quarterback than Bo, but I don't think Miller Moss would be good behind this offensive line and what Mizzou wants to do offensively. He's not very mobile. And we know when they took Bo, it was, okay, we can take Bo now, or we can compete with Indiana for Mendoza. They chose to just take Bo now, not wanting to risk that they would lose Mendoza to some other school. Ended up being Indiana. Indiana was always viewed as the main competition. Indiana's got themselves a first-round quarterback. You got a guy that will probably be back in school next year. That's fine, but man, it's like you misevaluated again. If you were able to get Mendoza, is what it is. But they have not done a great job developing offensive line as a package. 23, they did a nice job. Last year, even with Membu and Green playing pretty well and tall, like that offensive line, it was kind of like LSU's offensive line last year, where LSU's offensive line last year had a lot of really good pieces that went high in the draft. But it never, like the run game just never quite came together. And that was kind of Mizzou last year too, to a lesser extent. They had a bunch of really good pieces, Green, Tollison, the tackle they took from SMU. That went in the 7th round of the Patriots. Oh my gosh, why do I remember all that? But I can't remember his name. He played okay. Obviously, Membu was a stud. I thought Tollison was good. Green was getting All-American hype before the season for reasons and the offense just never clicked. It never was a pleasant. Like last year's offense looked like tonight's offense the entire season. And maybe that's what we see from Mizzou moving forward, where it's a struggle bus to do anything. But you have to recruit, develop, and retain on offensive line. And we saw that tonight. That offensive line got torched. And Kirby did some nice things to kind of overcome it. On the first touchdown drive, they ran some like inside screens where whether it was to Manning or Johnson or Coleman, where they'd have a guy outside, kind of a bunched group in the interior. Two guys look like they're going for a screen. Bo would read it, first guy, second guy. And they got some chunk plays out of that. A little shocked they didn't go to more halfback screen stuff or halfback draw stuff. Some of that might be just because there was so much interior pressure, because that's what DJ Durkin does, because he's a good defensive coordinator. But okay, I guess we're talking about the coordinators. Because that's what DJ Durkin does. And so maybe that's why you don't really run a lot of halfback draw. But I'm shocked they didn't go more screen game with Roberts or Hardy. I thought the one play to Roberts was really well done. Towards the end of the half, when Bo leaked out and found Roberts for like a 12-yard gain, and Roberts got out of bounds. It was really well done. And also, I thought Ahmad Hardy, but I take it back. It's probably Jeremiah Love. Like, let's be real. But Jeremiah Love was beastly tonight. Watching that on my third screen. Yeah, I had that game on my third screen. Holy War, Notre Dame, USC, Alabama, and Mizzou. Although it's hard when Mizzou's playing not to just be locked on Mizzou, especially since I have to do this show. But the games were on. I'll go back and watch probably a lot of some Alabama. Finally can take BYU seriously. Anyway. But I thought Kirby did a pretty good job tonight. When your offensive line is just getting beat to hell, it's hard to establish an offense. And they didn't abandon the run game ever. Even when they went down 17-10 and they could have gone into panic mode, they never abandoned it, which is a positive. When they missed the field goal, Auburn did. Mizzou got the ball in the first overtime. I was very scared Mizzou was going to run it 3 times and try and kick a field goal. I even put on Twitter, like, Eli, I swear to God, if you play with a true for a field goal with a true freshman on the road. I don't think they did that. I think they just didn't execute. And Auburn scouted it really well. I mean, they did the little play action rollout, and they were looking for Norfleet for probably would have ended up like a 4-yard, or the running back for maybe like a 4-yard gain, 5-yard gain. Auburn covered it up well. They got a nice play on second down, and third down, just nothing was open. They didn't go up the middle, 4 yards, done, kick. They did try, and the kid missed it. And he did make one earlier in the game. He made all his extra points. Like, it's hard to ask a true freshman first road game in that environment in overtime to go make a kick. So, I don't really blame any coaches or anything like that for Mizzou. I think overall the Mizzou coaching staff had a pretty good night. My one gripe would be Eli at the end of the game. You got the ball with 3:10 left or whatever, and you ran 2 plays before the 2 minutes, and you were backed up inside your own 10. Look, you ended up winning, but I was like, are you really playing for overtime right now? I didn't really like that, but win's a win, man. And you got the win, and you have to be excited about that. You just have to be excited about it. I'm Zach here with the voice of college football. Missouri Tigers. Mizzou gets the win in Jordan-Hare, 23-17 against the Auburn Tigers, keeping everything still on the table. I don't think they'll move up at all in the rankings. LSU might stay ahead of them, but that kind of stuff, like, everyone gets so concerned about rankings and every chat I'm in and everything. But guys, all that crap will take care of itself. You just win football games, and all that stuff will take care of itself. Now you go play a Vanderbilt team that's coming off an emotional win over LSU. And it's a good football team. And they should have beat you last year. Yep, I was going to get to that. Thank you for the comment. Yeah, Nick Rodriguez had a tough night. 2 personal fouls. I don't think he played the run really well. I think this team is too deep. I know this staff really likes Rodriguez, and for good reason. I think he's a good player, and I think he'll be a good player. But when you have the linebackers Mizzou has, Trotter, Newsom, who – look, it's crazy how little he plays. I thought he was pretty decent tonight. Newsom, Beasley, who they really like, the kid from Michigan, and Jacobs, I apologize, who's like kind of your pass rushing specialist. But still, I don't think Rodriguez can play next week. I think he had a bad penalty against – no, he was the guy that was supposed to cover the running back on the touchdown that Bama scored to end the game last week, but that was like whatever. It was 4th and goal. You sunk everybody in, and they made a play. Whatever. But, yeah, he can't play next week. That was bad. That was really, really bad. Some undisciplined crap. That's the kind of stuff you do when you want to hand Auburn W. But, look, you got the win. on the road against the Auburn Tigers. And let's be clear, I don't care how good or bad Auburn is. How many times has Mizzou in the last, since joining the SEC, won in an environment like that? South Carolina's a great environment. They've won there a couple times. 2022, 2014, 2013, they won at UGA. But these elite environments in the SEC, Auburn, they won a couple times at Florida, a couple times at Florida. But Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, how many times have they? We'll go since 2015 because in between kind of like how many times have they really won those games? And it's not much. And in the Eli era, like their wins have come against South Carolina on the road. A couple times they beat, 2020 was technically a COVID, whatever. Kentucky, the Kentucky team that finished 7-6. Vanderbilt a couple times. Other than that, like they've really struggled on the road, and you got to win in one of these environments in a football game where you very easily could have melted down and lost the game. Oh God, I don't feel well. And lost. You didn't do it. Your season stays alive, man. Like there's some teams tonight your season might be over, like USC. LSU might have seen their season die today because they still got a couple tough road games. But you kept yourself with one more mulligan, and that's important. We're about to go into a better version. Like this game was sloppy, but there was way more talent on both sides in that 2022 version. Way more talent. That game was Brian Harsin had already lost the team at that point, but that game was more of just like no one could execute worth a damn because both teams sucked. This game was more, both defenses were really damn good. Not great quarterback play, and limited offensive skill on the Missouri side. That game was just like a joke, a football game. This game, there was a lot. It was just a lack of anything. This game was a lot just better defenses, and it wasn't like atrocious. Like that game was way worse. It's hard to describe. That game was gross. I never want to think about that football game again. But yeah, look, don't get it twisted. Auburn handed you that football game. But there's been plenty of games in the past where teams have handed Mizzou football games and they've just said, no thanks. We don't want it. We don't want to win this game. Hell no. Get that crap away from us. To LSU in 2023, Kentucky in 2022, a handful of games in 2022, Georgia in 2022. Handful of football games where these teams have just said, Mizzou, win this football game. And Mizzou said, no, thank you. Tonight they won it, and they won it on the road. So you have to be extremely happy about that, man. Like there were a lot of positives, negatives. I thought the offensive line was awful. Yeah, I thought the offensive line was awful. I thought the run game just not very good, and I don't blame Hardy for that. I thought Norfleet really struggled in the run game blocking, if I'm being honest. Like, I know a lot of people are going to pick on the tackles, but I thought Norfleet really struggled. I thought the run defense wasn't great. Like, Cobb busted. But if you take away the 41-yard run, that's still 18 for 60, or 18 for 70. So that's still over 4 yards a carry. But that's not like the end of the world atrocious. And they didn't do a great, but Cam Coleman, oh God, I'm so glad Mizzou. I don't think Mizzou has to play him next year because he's cooked him twice now. They did a nice job on Singleton, though. Xavier Atkins with 2 sacks for them. Jeez. What did Kendrick Folk do? It felt like Kendrick Folk had more than 1 tackle for a loss. It felt like he had 100 tackles for a loss. They had 9 tackles for a loss as a team, but Mizzou had 10. So including 2 by Trotter, 2.5 by Zion. Damon Wilson was great at the end of the game. Like, God, this D-line is really, really good. Chris McClellan with a sack and 2 tackles for a loss. Carolina did play, had 4 tackles. Interesting. I didn't really hear his name a lot. Same with Stephen Hall, but stats don't lie. Dalen Carnell, not a great night. 1 tackle, but I don't often want Dalen Carnell tackling. With that said, I think I'm going to hop off for the night. It is 11:30. I've been up since 7:45. I'm exhausted. Look, man, win's a win, and you won a damn football game on the road in Jordan-Hare. That should be celebrated. As Mizzou gets the win, 23-17 over the Auburn Tigers. I'm Zach Ramirez here with the voice of college football, Missouri. I will be back Monday. I will not be as exhausted. 7 o'clock. We'll be here. We'll talk about this game a little bit more for probably another 10, 15 minutes. And then we're on to Vanderbilt in maybe the biggest game in recent Vanderbilt history. Like, if Vanderbilt wins this game, like, they can definitely make the playoffs. So, and if you win this game, you can definitely make the playoffs. So it's huge. Vanderbilt provide different obstacles, but we'll get to that game on Monday. For now, Mizzou fans, celebrate the win. Oh, God. I hit the wrong media file. I was supposed to have this in the corner. Shout out to, who is this? IFC Iowa floor covering. Congrats to them. It's all compacted here. I hit the wrong thing. Whatever. It'll be fine. If I didn't even draw attention to it. Thank you for listening to the voice of college football, Missouri Tigers. I'm tired. That's my excuse. Thank you all for those who tuned in. Huge win by the Missouri Tigers. We will be back on Monday for Voice of College Football, Missouri Tigers Live. And the rest of you, enjoy your NFL, and we'll talk more about the world of college football this week. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the hockey, baseball, whatever you want, NFL tomorrow. And, it's finally getting cold here in Missouri, so that's nice. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.